Hi guys, so Keir Starmer, the Labour leader, finally bit the bullet and started talking about Brexit. He was a guest at the Centre for European Reform in London, where he gave a speech on his vision for Brexit. Before we get to hear this clip from the speech, I think it's important to understand the dilemma Labour and Starmer are facing. Brexit, they know, is a disaster. It has made operating a business for exporters and importers more expensive and bureaucratic. It has meant that domestic industry that used to rely on foreign workers is now struggling to get both high and low-skilled staff. And for ordinary British people who have ambitions of working and living abroad, that has all been made more difficult. If I may misquote my good friend David Davis, there are no upsides to Brexit, only considerable downsides, it seems. Starmer's dilemma is that he has to ignore reality. He has to speak to the people who still live in the land of unicorns, those who either think that Brexit isn't going well but will get better if the whole country gets behind it, or even those further on the fringe who believe that Brexit is a roaring success. These people don't represent huge numbers, but they are strategically placed within constituencies that Starmer needs to win in order to get into number 10. He has to speak their language and he has to show that he's on their team. Some of these people used to vote for the Labour Party and then switched to Johnson because they thought he would get Brexit done, get it off the airways and off the telly. But while some are beginning to smell the coffee, many are still not. This is why I believe Starmer said this on Monday.
So let me be very clear. Under Labour, Britain will not go back into the EU. We will not be joining the single market or the customs union. Now, I know that some people don't want to hear that, but it's my job to be frank and to be honest, and you'll always get that from me. The reason I say this is simple. Nothing about revisiting those rows will help stimulate growth, or bring down food prices, or help British business thrive in the modern world. It would simply be a recipe for more division. It would distract us from taking on the challenges that are facing people. And it would ensure that Britain remains stuck for another decade. Under Labour, that simply will not happen.
Now, I'm not going to talk about what he said here because I don't believe he believes it himself. But he knows that he has to speak this type of language to a small constituency of people. And this should not be how things work. It should not be the case that a politician has to throw hundreds of thousands, millions of people under a bus in order to keep a very small fringe happy. But if Keir Starmer wants to win power, he has to win certain constituencies. There are constituencies that flipped to Boris Johnson back in 2019. People were tired of Brexit. They were tired of hearing about it. They wanted it done. Boris Johnson sold them that unicorn. They bought the unicorn. Some people still believe the unicorn will eventually arrive. So Starmer can't say he's going to stop the unicorn or he's going to expose that there is no unicorn. He has to tell them, yes, we're going to deliver the unicorn. We're going to deliver a better unicorn. He has to speak their language. I know it's frustrating to hear this. I know many people are very angry. They feel betrayed. But I don't believe this is what his goal is. His goal is to get into power and then he can start making changes. He can start working with the European Union. I don't know if his end goal is rejoining the European Union, but I'm pretty sure he wants to get back into the single market at least. Because this will help Britain. It will stimulate the economy. But he can't say this now. Look, I'm not defending him. What I'm doing here is I'm trying to explain how in order to get into power, he has to flip a number of constituencies back to Labour. Also other conservative constituencies to Labour. But in order to get into power, he has to win over a small number of people strategically positioned. If he can do that, he can get into power. As soon as he's in power, he can start making real changes. He can start undoing some of the damage of Brexit. But he can't say that now because he's going to turn off those people. It's frustrating to hear. I don't like saying it, but this is the reality. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.